and the children of Issachar. They had understanding of the times. They had understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do. How did they know what Israel ought to do? Lines why is weird. Zvaiuya sei kwavari kuti vanoziva zvinofanira kuitwa naIsrael. And I began to realize that it was probably not a still small voice. It was not an audible voice like the one coming out of this microphone. But it could have been a feeling, a thought that would emanate from reading the environment that God would have put on the inside of them. And that feeling, they later on realized that probably it was not one person thinking about it, but it was also the neighbor. It was also the neighbor of the neighbor. It was also the neighbor of the neighbor. Until people began to realize that no, there is a particular tribe within our grouping that seems to have the same thought in terms of what we ought to do in a particular season. And they realized that these people are coming from the house of Issachar. But within them, they had this thing that would drive them. And they were able to nurture and identify the gift within themselves up to a point that even the neighbors, the other tribes surrounding, began to realize that these people are gifted more than us. These people seem to be operating at a level that is different from our level. We all have time. We may look better than them, but we have to understand something about these people. They are different from us. Hazvina mhosva akapfeka hembe yakabvaruka. Hazvina mhosva haana kuenda kuchikoro sezvawakaita. But anoratidza kuti ane rumwe ruzivo rwaainarwo rwenguva naMwari, zvekuti anoziva zvinofanira kunge zvichiitwa naIsraeri. And the last part of the verse says, and all their brethren were under their command. Just be in alignment with the will of God. Just be in alignment with the will of God. Made their brethren to submit to them. Kuziva zvinodiwa naMwari kwakakonzera kuti hama neshamwari dzinzwe kuti we need to submit to these people because they know, they understand. Hapana chinhu chakaipa sekurarama upenyu usingazive nguva, usingazive zvaunofanira kuita munguva. You'll get to 70 years, you look back and you realize I lived an empty life. You never lived life according to what satisfies you. There are people that will stand up today and they will tell you, I lived life, but I lived life according to my neighbors that didn't hear God. I lived life according to my friends that were not hearing God. I lived life according to my relatives that never feared God. I lived life according to my work environment. My friends influenced my marriage until I lost it, and they took away satisfaction from my life. And to notice, they were not called prophets. And these ones needed not to force people into submission. They worked on a relationship. They worked on a gift that made people to submit unto them, not by choice, but because they were able to nurture understanding time. Do you understand time? unopedza zuva rese uchinzwa kuti ndichaita usina chauri kuita, zvekuti chacho chawanga uchida kuita paunozoda kuchiita chinenge chisisaitike, kana kuti chinenge chisisabuditse maresults achaifanira kubuditsa dai wakachiita munguva yachaifanira kuita. Some of you, when you serve God, you serve God in a way that is very clear that you don't understand. You work in the house of God, you do the things of God in a way that is very clear that you have no clue of the times. Understanding what you are supposed to be doing according to the heart and mind of God in a season is far greater than any other word that you may get from any other person. Knowing what you are supposed to be doing. Kuziva iwewe zvaunofanira kunge uchiita. Zvekuti wakagara mumba unonzwa kuti regedza ndinoona maindi, usvika mumba mako uona pasaidi paine red poison, pasaidi paine dhamu, usvika kuti ndauya kuti tingokurukura nezverudo rwaJesu. When somebody is at the brink of suicide and you imagine, had you not gone that day, what could have been? And would you have ever known that not going that day would have been misalignment, and the blood of the person who would have committed suicide may have been on your hands because you chose not to be in alignment with the will of God. You chose not to know time. Not prophecy, understanding time and what Israel ought to do. And to imagine all of us with a free will. Inonzi na Mwari kukuita zvaunoda kuti unge uchiita. Iri free will yako. Ukasarudza kutsanya waita kuda kwaMwari. Ukasarudza kumhanya waita kuda kwaMwari. Ukasarudza kufugama waita kuda kwaMwari. Ukasarudza kufamba waita kuda kwaMwari. Kuva neukama naMwari zvokuti chese chaunoita zvinonzi nevanokuona anoziva nguva nezvinofanira kuitwa. Ane ukama naMwari up to a point where you know what God wants you to be doing. Unochembera kuchembera usingazive kuti unofanira kuita sei neupenyu hwako. And the amazing thing is, we've got people there that are not called prophets. They are not called dreamers. They are just a tribe that knows what Israel ought to do and when to do it. They understood something that God created called time.